Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming at you again with another video. Now, this is a response video to Thunderdome Boxing Talk. Um, about a little than 2 days ago, he put out a a critique, a review on Bernard Hopkins' historic and legendary career, and it was rather a very scathing and condemnation of Bernard Hopkins' career, where Thunderdome, this is his opinion. We're all entitled to our opinions in the YTBC, but it was rather very scathing and a condemnation and ridicule on the man's career, which I felt that was very unwarranted. In other words, it was out of, I think that was a bit out of line. And again, this is going to be a respectful responses, because my responses are not going to be very, very emotional, and I'm not going to attack anybody. But um, I just wanted to, make this video because I felt that Thunderdome made so many factual errors in this video when he critiqued Hopkins' career at middleweight, and he also suggested that Gennady Golovkin's career at middleweight is better than Bernard Hopkins's, and also suggested that Manny Pacquiao had a greater career than Bernard Hopkins. Well, first things first, I know this whole debate stems from the latest ESPN top 25 pound per pound rankings list of the last 25 years, and the top three on that list are Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather, and Manny Pacquiao. And I think they have Floyd ranked number one, Manny Pacquiao ranked number two, and Bernard Hopkins ranked number three. Now that caused a bit of a slight uproar, but a sounding debate, and because this can go either way between these three men. Now, if you ask my opinion, and I agree with blood boxing on this, Bernard Hopkins actually should be number one pound per pound for the last 25 years. Okay. And this is the reason why. First things first, Bernard Hopkins is the only man in history to unify all four major titles. Male fighter to do that. I know Cecilia Braekhus is the only female fighter to do it as well. But Bernard Hopkins is the only male boxer to unify all four major titles before he lost them to Jermaine Taylor. Okay. This man holds the record for most consecutive middleweight defenses. Okay. He defeated all his mandatories. He fought every single mandatory that was there to fight. And he also cleaned out his division. He became the only man to move up from 160 to 175, become the world champion. Okay. He became the oldest champion in history. And when he beat John Pascal back in 2010. And he became the oldest unified champion in history at the age of 48, breaking his own record and the oldest unified champion. Okay. Now, aside, Floyd Mayweather himself has broken records in his own rights, and so did Manny Pacquiao. But the thing is, I can't see how Floyd Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao's accomplishments can eclipse Bernard Hopkins. I can't see how. There's no way. There's no way impossible. But I know that's another video. But let me get into the whole argument on Thunderdome, why he feels that Bernard Hopkins' legacy in middleweight is a sham, and he feels that Gennady Golovkin's legacy is not legacy, but his accomplishments supersedes Hopkins, which I think that's very, very inaccurate. And I did a video about this a few months ago when I had a polite exchange with 978's Diplomat 34 before he went crazy, but it is what it is. But anyhow, let me point out some of the fallacies that Thunderdome made in this video. Okay, first things first, Thunderdome, I got no problem with you. Okay, and as I mentioned initially in this video, that you're entitled to your opinion and you're going to have your say. That's what the YTBC is all about. Cool. But you asserted that Bernard Hopkins fought nothing but bums at middleweight. Okay, and you also said that Bernard Hopkins chose his opponents. Oh, right, really? Okay, first things first. Bernard Hopkins fought everybody that was there to fight at middleweight, okay? He fought all his mandatories, which you neglected to mention. He fought every single mandatory that is. Now, you being the IBF champion, the IBF have very, very, very strict policies when it comes to mandatories. That is a fact. Okay, even though I wish they could have given some some common ground with certain fighters when they didn't want to fight mandatories at in immediate fashion like Tyson Fury. But hey, it is what it is. They enforce this. That's the policies they enforce. Okay. So you went on to say that he fought bums. Okay. Well, first of all, you didn't mention one fighter that he fought and beat, Lupe Aquino. Okay. If you don't know who Lupe Aquino is, I suggest you research him because clearly you didn't. Lupe Aquino it was a former world champion who actually beat Pepino Cuevas, Hall of Famer, and beat Davey Moore, former world champion, and also defeated Milton McCory, who was a great welterweight. Okay. You didn't mention him at all, and Hopkins beat him. Now, Lupe Aquino had a great career. I don't understand why he hasn't been admitted to the Hall of Fame yet, but I think he'll get there eventually. This man is tougher than nails. All right, he did lose to Donald Curry, who was the first welterweight to unify all three titles in his time. A great welterweight, Donald Curry. He did lose to Marlon Sterling, who was also a great welterweight, and he did drew with Mark Breland, who was a great amateur and also a very good professional fighter as well. Okay, so those don't not Mil McCoy, I'm sorry. Lupe Aquino was tougher than nails. Even though he had 9 losses on the record, but he only got knocked out twice. Once against John David Jackson, who you call the bum. And also once against Simon Brown, who you also said was pretty much a bum because you felt that Simon Brown fought nobodies. Okay, I'll get to that in a sec. All right, Lupe Aquino only got stopped twice in his career. Even Bernard Hopkins couldn't knock this guy out. Marlon Sterling couldn't even knock him out. Donald Curry, who was a volume puncher, couldn't even knock this guy out. So that's how tough Lupe Aquino is. Or was, I should say. That's how much a tougher than nails fighters than he was in his time. All right, so I don't know. I can't understand why did you neglect to mention him, or you didn't even know that Hopkins fought him. So that was the case. Okay. Then you also mentioned that Hopkins could have fought Keith Holmes at that time, William Joppy, Reggie Johnson, Otis Grant, Robert McCracken, and Shinsuke Takahashi, and Julian Jackson, and Jorge Castro. Well, first things first, Keith Holmes and William Joppy were managed by Don King, okay? Don King and William Joppy and Keith Holmes' management didn't want them to go near Hopkins. Okay, Hopkins actually wanted those fights. He wanted those unification bouts, but he couldn't get them until 2001 when the middleweight tournament was announced. They kept Hopkins away from him because they knew what he can do. They seen what he did to Joe Lipsy, who you discredit. I can't understand how you discredit Joe Lipsy. Joe Lipsy was a power puncher, knocking everybody out until Hopkins was the one who stopped him. Okay, credit to Hopkins because he's the only guy to beat Joe Lipsy. So other than that, Reggie Johnson was pretty much a big middleweight who was moving up to light heavyweight. Okay, Reggie Johnson never called out Hopkins. His intent was to call out all the light heavyweights. That's what he did. Okay, he went up there. He was trying to get fights with the light heavyweights like Virgil Hill and Roy Jones Jr. Otis Grant. Okay, yeah, he didn't fight Otis Grant, so what? He didn't fight Otis Grant, but there's many guys that Hopkins could fight, but he didn't fight. I mean, not many guys. There were some guys that Hopkins fought, but he couldn't fight. But he can't fight every single body, okay? But if you can at least say that, and I'll say this again, he fought everybody else there to fight at middleweight, especially his mandatories. He did all that. Now you mentioned Robert McCracken. First of all, Robert McCracken never won a world title. Okay, he was fighting in his backyard most of his career, which is in the UK. And Robert McCracken himself had lost. Who was the guy that he lose to? I have to check and see. But he had one title shot at a world title. He lost, and he essentially retired after that. So that totally excuses your argument. Okay. And Shinsuke Takahashi. Let's talk about Shinsuke Takahashi. He actually had excuse me. He had beaten I think it was Otis Grant, I believe. He had beaten Otis Grant for the world title, okay? That was a fluke of a victory because many people felt that Otis Grant, I think it was Otis Grant that he fought, that, Otis Grant was going to steamroll him, but he actually knocked out Otis Grant, and people felt that was a fluke of a victory. He had one title defense, and he lost in that and got knocked out in that defense, and he immediately retired after that. So I can't understand how you could say that Hopkins could have fought that guy while he fought most of his career in Japan. He retired after one title defense. So that goes against your argument. Julian Jackson. Well, Julian Jackson was on his way out anyway. First of all, Julian Jackson was completely shot after being knocked out by Gerald McClellan twice. Jorge Castro. Well, first of all, Jorge Castro was fighting John David Jackson, who you call the bum. All right. So the reason, Jorge Castro after John David Jackson was pretty much retreated back to Argentina and started taking regional fights over there. He didn't bother fighting anybody else on the world level after that. Okay. Then you didn't mention that Bernard Hopkins fought Glenn Johnson at middleweight. Maybe you did, but first things first, Glenn Johnson was knocking everybody out at middleweight. Okay, yes, you mentioned that he didn't essentially fight nobody at middleweight at the time, but there's guys who didn't want to fight Glenn Johnson. The top middleweights at the time didn't want to fight him. They felt he was dangerous. Okay, if you don't believe me, ask Joe Kawasaki why he avoided Glenn Johnson 4 times at super middleweight and at light heavyweight. Okay. Nobody wanted to fight Glenn Johnson. Who wanted to fight him? Guess who stepped up to the plate? Bernard Hopkins did. Bernard Hopkins humiliated Glenn Johnson, beat him up so badly to the point that the referee had to stop the fight. Okay? Credit to Hopkins for that. He was only one or two guys to even knock out Glenn Johnson. All right, Glenn Johnson himself had a great career after that knockout defeat over the TKO defeat of Hopkins. Okay? He himself became the light heavyweight champion by knocking out Roy Jones Jr., beating Antonio Tarver, and then started having great fights after that. Okay, so you can't shit on Glenn Johnson, bro. I don't know why you did that, but it is what it is in that situation. Okay, then you'd say that he never fought a prime top level natural middleweight. Okay, well he did fight Glenn Johnson. He did fight William Joppy. He fought Keith Holmes. They were all prime middleweights. And first of all, Keith Holmes was never shot when he fought Hopkins. I don't know what you're talking about. That's totally inaccurate right there. All right. You also mentioned that Simon Brown fought nobody. Nobody special. Did you neglect to mention Terry Norris? Actually, you did mention Terry Norris. But first of all, you pretty much try to downplay Terry Norris in a way, okay? First of all, Terry Norris is ranked one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of all time. Terry Norris had two separate title runs where he had 6 consecutive title defenses at light middleweight and was a unified and linear light middleweight champion. Okay, this is a man who retired Sugar Ray Leonard officially. Okay, this is a man who beat Meldrick Taylor, a great Olympian, gold medalist, and world champion. This is the Terry Norris who also went through John Mugabe. Okay, yes, some people could say John Mugabe was shot. But many people didn't count out Terry Norris. Many people counted out Terry Norris in a way because many felt that after him being steamrolled and knocked out badly by Julian Jackson, they felt that he didn't have much of a career because he was a very vulnerable guy and he had very, very terrible punch resistance. But you have to give Terry Norris credit because he actually had a great career despite those odds, despite those vulnerabilities and deficiencies that he had. Okay, Simon Brown had a 3-year reign at welterweight as the world champion. Okay, during that time, he defeated Jorge Vaca, the same Jorge Vaca who defeated Lloyd Hannigan. Now, if you don't know who Lloyd Hannigan is the one who defeated and stopped Donald Curry. Against odds, people felt that Curry was going to steamroll Hannigan. Okay, now he also defeated Maurice Blocker, who defeated Mara Starling, who was also a great welterweight. Man, oh man. It just amazes me how people don't do their research on Simon Brown. I mean, Jesus Christ. In all due respect, man, but it's laughable when you say that Simon Brown fought nobody special with, which in fact you didn't, you were suddenly mentioned Terry Norris, Maurice Blocker, and Jorge Vaca, but it is what it is. Then you also mentioned that Robert Allen, Antoine Eccles were cherry-picked by Hopkins. Hopkins cherry-picked those guys. All right. Well, first things first, you didn't know that Robert Allen and Antoine Eccles were actually Bernard Hopkins' mandatory challenges for the IBF title. They were his mandatories. Hopkins didn't choose those guys. The IBF mandate those fights to happen. Of course, in the first fight, it ended in no contest because of, Hopkins, falling out the ring against Robert Allen. Or it was Anton Eccles, one of those guys, I believe. I think it was Robert Allen. Yeah, it was Robert Allen. And
Of course, many people like myself felt that Hopkins faked an injury to get out of that fight, but but a rematch was ordered. Immediate rematch by the IBF was ordered, and Hopkins won that rematch. Okay, so with that said, sir, Hopkins fought once again. He fought all his mandatories. He fought all the middleweights that was there to fight. Okay, and he unified the division. Had 20 consecutive defenses. And then you go on and say that Hopkins fought Kovalev because he needed to derail main events' lawsuit against Al Heyman. Really? Really? That's the first time I ever heard of that. Unless you got some proof to bring, to back that up, please show me. Because first of all, Hopkins, as a warrior that he is, always wanted to take challenges throughout his career. Okay? Look at the Felix Trinidad fight. Okay, first of all, you said that, Trinidad and De La Hoya had no business fighting Hopkins. Well, first things first, those guys challenged themselves. Trinidad was the heavy favorite to beat Hopkins. In case you don't remember or you never heard of. He was a heavy favorite to beat him. At the time, people were banking on Trinidad to go through Hopkins and then move up to 175 to fight Roy Jones Jr. Apparently, if you have seen that fight, I'm sure you did, Hopkins had destroyed Trinidad, beat him, humiliated him. And we all know that Felix Trinidad was never the same fighter after that. Of course, he attempted to come back against Ricardo Mayorga. And then, he took a fight against Winky Wright, which we all know that Winky really exposed Felix Trinidad a lot worse than Hopkins did. But that's how the story goes on that situation. So then you went on to say that Curtis Stevens, who was unranked at the time when Golovkin fought him, William Monroe Jr., who was unranked at the time when Golovkin fought him. I think they were ranked, but I don't know. But they were not ranked that high. But anyways, you said that Curtis Stevens, William Monroe, Mark Murray, and David Lemieux are better middleweights than any of the middleweights that Hopkins fought? Wow. Okay, first things first, Curtis Stevens hasn't been a world champion. The only greatest win on his record is against Toriano Johnson. Now, this is a Toriano Johnson who's a tough guy. No disrespect to Toriano Johnson, but he can't even compare to any of Hopkins' middleweight opponents. Not one. He can't even compare to either one of them. William Monroe Jr., yeah, his greatest win on his record is against Brian Vera. Okay? And he lost to Darnell Boone. I guess there's no shame in that because every top level fighters had trouble with Darnell Boone. Ask Adonis Stevenson, Sergey Kovalev, and Andre Ward. But other than that, Martin Murray. Okay, Martin Murray. Martin Murray's been robbed, pretty much in his career. But to me, he can't be compared to the likes of Lupe Aquino or Glenn Johnson or the likes of Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya. He can't be compared to those guys. I'm sorry. David Lemieux, oh, please. Okay, first of all, I respect David Lemieux. I like him. I give Golovkin credit for that win. But let's face the facts. David Lemieux's greatest win on his record is against Hassan Adam Jekum. Good fighter, good boxer, but he can't compare to any of Hopkins' middleweight opponents. None. Okay? David Lemieux lost to Marco Antonio Rubio, who's not even a great fighter. He got knocked out by Marco Antonio Rubio. So let's not go there on that. So, again, let me bring up De La Hoya and Trinidad for a minute, because you certainly didn't want to give him credit for those wins. Okay, well, that's your opinion. But yet, it was you, sir, who was calling out Floyd to move up to middleweight to fight Golovkin. In fact, it was Golovkin himself who called out Floyd and Manny Pacquiao at the smaller weight classes. Hopkins didn't call out Trinidad. It was Trinidad who actually fought Hopkins in the middleweight tournament in a very good competitive fight. Yes, Hopkins did call out De La Hoya. Yeah, he did. Okay, so what? But De La Hoya did respond, and he responded to the challenge. Okay, so he challenged himself. So why are you going to shit on Hopkins for fighting guys like De La Hoya and Trinidad, but you don't want to? But yet you're the one who called out Floyd and you wanted Floyd to move up to fight Golovkin, and you didn't want to call out Golovkin for called out Floyd and Manny Pacquiao. So how does that make any? How does that work? Okay. Moving along here. Now let's break this down. Okay, let's talk about Manny Pacquiao first. Well, let's talk about Gennady Golovkin for a second. All right. First thing first, Gennady Golovkin. I like Gennady Golovkin. I'm a fan of Gennady Golovkin. Real talk. But let's face the facts here. In his first 34 fights, Gennady Golovkin only fought one undefeated fighter and beat him. an unheard of guy who's now a bum. All right. He never the WBA title that he has right now. He didn't win that title against the actual champion in the ring. Okay, he was elevated to that position by the WBA. He became interim champion against Nelson Tapia. Was it Nelson Tapia? I think that's his name. Hold on for a second. Who was that guy he beat? I'm trying to think here. Milton Nunez. There you go. He fought Milton Nunez for the interim WBA title. Okay, yes, he knocked out Milton Nunez. Then he fought Nelson Tapia after that in his first defense. Okay, a guy with a 14-2 record who was a bum. Okay, now let me get into that for a second. All right, you shit on Hopkins in his first title defense fighting a bum. Okay, first things first. Gennady Golovkin did the same thing. He fought Nelson Tapia, a bum, with a 14-2-1 record in his first title defense, an interim title defense when he became the regular WBA champion. All right. Then after that, he fought Kasi Uma, a loudmouth, who was 100, who fought it, pretty much his career at 154, who felt that Winky Wright and Shane Mosley ducked him. Okay, whatever. Now we've seen that Kasi Uma is a very, very limited fighter. All right. He fought Lawan Simon. Next, Mikado Fujikami. Next, Gracie Prescott. Okay, that's somewhat of a decent win. Gabe Rosado. I like Gabe Rosado. Don't get me wrong. He's a warrior. But nah, man. We all know that Gabe Rosado is not a top-level fighter. Let's not go there. Noriano Ishida, tough fighter. Credit to Golovkin. He's only got to knock him out, but not a great fighter. But, Ishida did luck out in that fluke against James Kirkland. But, it doesn't dismiss the fact that he's not a great fighter. Definitely not a great fighter. Matthew Macklin. No, next. Not a great fighter. Curtis Stevens, tough guy, but, very limited fighter. Asamiano Adama, next. Daniel Gill, good win. I'll give Golovkin credit for that. Good win. Marco Antonio Rubio, nah, not a great fighter. I'm sorry. Mark Murray, decent win. William Monroe Jr., nah. David Lemieux, give him credit for that. But, now, all these names I named, you're telling me, Thunderdome, that all these guys that I named, these middleweight opponents are more formidable than any of the middleweight opponents that Bernard Hopkins has fought. Even against guys like Jermaine Taylor, even though I felt that he beat Jermaine Taylor unofficially in the first fight. And the second fight could have gone either way, but he unofficially beat Jermaine Taylor in the first fight. You tell me these guys can stack up in the ranks of Jermaine Taylor, Glenn Johnson, Lupe Aquino, and Joe Lipsy. Those guys, William Joppy, Keith Holmes, Howard Heasman, you think those guys can stand up into the ranks of those? Wow. Okay. Now he's taking it, and then Golovkin's going up against Dominic Wade. Yes, it's a mandatory, but as I stated initially, that's quite unusual that Dominic Wade has been installed as a mandatory in the beginning. In the first place, because we all know that Torion Johnson was the initial mandatory for the IBF. But Torion Johnson, to his credit, actually fought in the eliminator to get in that position. Dominic Wade didn't do that. When Torion Johnson got hurt, the IBF immediately styles him as the mandatory. That's quite unusual for the IBF because usually in that particular situation, they force an elimination bout. Dominic Wade, all due respect to Dominic Wade, I think he's cool. I think he's a decent fighter. Had a good amateur career. But Dominic Wade, and I felt in my eyes, lost to Sam Solomon. Yes, he got the split decision, but he didn't perform well in that fight. Now, I'm not saying that he won't stand a chance against Golovkin. He could possibly beat him. But to me, looking at this fight and looking at the policies of Wade and Golovkin, this is a mismatch. So I expect Golovkin to blow him away. I expect him to blow him away. And from there, I really hope that Golovkin does get a fight with Canelo. I really hope he does. But, I'm getting off topic a little bit here. But what I'm saying is this. Hopkins in his first 34 fights and Golovkin in his first 34 fights. Hopkins beat 3 undefeated fighters in his first 34 fights at middleweight. And how many undefeated fighters did Golovkin beat? Guess the number. You don't know what that number is? That number is 1. Only 1 undefeated fighter. 1. Now, going back to the WBA championship situation. Now, first things first, as I mentioned, Golovkin didn't beat anybody to become the official WBA champion. All right, he was upgraded to that position because Felix Sturm, who ducked him, I'll admit to that, who ducked him, by the way, was a super the recognized WBA champion. When Sturm moved up to 168, he vacated the title, so that's when the Golovkin got elevated to the WBA super, the recognized WBA champion. So he didn't officially beat the champion. He didn't win that title in the ring. The only official title that he actually won was the IBF title. I mean, it's not Golovkin's fault, but those are the facts. It is what it is. Simple as that. Now, on to Manny Pacquiao. Yes, Manny Pacquiao, great career, no question about it. Love Manny Pacquiao. Respect the man because this man has great integrity. He's humble and he has a great high regard and respect for the sport that he competes in. No question about it. But to say that Manny Pacquiao had a greater career than Bernard Hopkins, I mean, to me, it is a debate, but to me, that's totally inaccurate. And let me tell you why. Like Floyd Mayweather, as I mentioned in this video, Manny Pacquiao didn't always fight the best fighters in his division, all right? Manny Pacquiao never unified a division. Manny Pacquiao never won a unification bout. He had 3 opportunities to do it, and he failed, okay? Manny Pacquiao himself had fought 8 men's with losing records when he was coming up from flyweight up to, light middleweight or welterweight, whatever you want to call it. Manny Pacquiao had got knocked out 3 times in his career. One against Mario Marquez, another against a tomato can by the name of Oriocampo. If you don't know who Oriocampo is, let me tell you something about him. First things first, when Manny and Pacquiao fought him, they only fought in 3 rounds, okay? So when Rusty Oriocampo, when they fought in 3 rounds. His record was 11-4-5 when Manny Pacquiao was undefeated. 11-4-5, and he knocked out Pacquiao, knocked him out, and he finished his career with 15-8. Wow. Okay. Talk about tomato cans. Then after that, he fought another tomato can by the name of Marlon Carrero. Then fought John Medina, a tomato can, 31-30. Fought Brett Bartiel, who was 10-1-2. Fought Ipo Gala, 1-11-1. Fought Junji Lee, who's 0-2-0. Fought Mina Lina, who was 27-4. Fought Yuki Lee at 0-4-1. Ariel Estrada, 10-5-3. Well, wait a minute. Hold up here. These are all bums here. First things first, Bernard Hopkins didn't fight these type of level opposition. Let's this quality opposition, I should say. Let's get the record straight. Every good fighter that's coming up, they're gonna fight terrible opposition just to get, just so they can gain enough experience in the ring. That's a fact. But after him being knocked out by Torio Campo, why is he fighting this type of level opposition after that? Especially when he was undefeated. This makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, to all credits, he did actually get another shot against Chokai Vata, okay? He did beat him for the the OPBF flyweight title. All right, pretty good win. Then after that, he fought a tomato can, Melvin Magramo, in his first defense. Then after that, he fought another tomato can in his second defense. Wow. Then he actually fought, and in this actual world title fight, his first world title fight, he fought Choke Sakai. He did beat him. He knocked him out. Credit to him. A great win. A great fighter. Then after that, he fought a tomato can in his first defense. Tom Macklin. A guy who's a record of 7-4 with no draws. Wow. A tomato can, Tom Macklin. Wow. You want to say Tamara Hopkins fought tomato cans in his career? Then why is Manny Pacquiao fighting all these tomato cans at flyweight and super flyweight? Wow. He not only fought Tom Macklin and knocked him out, he fought another tomato can in Gabriel Mira. Knocked him out. Then after that, he fought Mundro Torgono, defended his title and got an undefeated fighter and got knocked out in that fight against Singarat, who was a great fighter. No shame in getting knocked out against this guy. He got knocked out against this guy in his fourth defense at flyweight. But who could Manny Pacquiao fought at flyweight? Why he had a reign, and when he had a WBC title, a small title reign at WBC at flyweight? Who did he not fight? He didn't fight Mark Too Sharp Johnson. He didn't fight Ricardo Lopez, who's definitely one of the greatest fighters of all time, the only undefeated fighter in the pros and in amateurs. He did fight Ricardo Lopez. He did fight Mark Too Sharp Johnson, who everybody avoided. including Ricardo Lopez, who avoided him. Who both fighters, by the way, were one of the best pound fighters at that time, best at that time. Both of them. Pacquiao didn't fight him. So after he moved away from flyweight, he goes up to super bantamweight. Okay? At super bantamweight, he goes through, he goes up against Acapito Sanchez, right? That was a unification bout. Pacquiao fell to that fight. He did beat Sanchez in the unification bout. But at the same time, when he was fighting at super bantamweight, Oscar Larios was around at that time. And many people were calling for the Oscar Larios to fight Manny Pacquiao. But Pacquiao didn't fight him. Why? Why did he fight him? Why did it take him two weight classes later to fight Larios? I don't get that. He didn't fight Larios at that time. He didn't fight Johnny Tapia at that time. So you can shit on Hopkins for saying that he could fight many guys at middleweight, but okay. Why did Pacquiao fight these guys? He didn't fight Mark Too Sharp Johnson. He didn't fight Paulie Ayala, who was a linear champion at that time at super bantamweight. He didn't fight Joe Guzman, Israel Vasquez, Yuri Yoromov, Juan Arango, and Clarence Adams. Why did Pacquiao fight either one of those guys? In fact, when he was moved up the weight from super bantamweight and eventually to featherweight and super featherweight, many people were calling on him to fight Edwin Villaro, a devastating puncher at super featherweight and lightweight. Devastating puncher. Why didn't Pacquiao fight Edwin Villaro? Why Pacquiao didn't fight Juan Diaz? Why didn't Pacquiao fight Nate Campbell, who is a linear and three belt champion? Why didn't he fight Julio Diaz, who was a great lightweight at the time, a devastating lightweight? Why did he fight Humberto Soto, which many people accuse Pacquiao for ducking, and Joe Casamayor? So he didn't fight none of those guys at lightweight. He only had one fight at lightweight, and it's in a few fights at super featherweight, including with Juan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, and Marco Antonio Barrera, which were damn good fights, by the way. All credit to Pacquiao for that. Why didn't he fight these guys that everybody was calling for him to fight? The only lightweight fight that he had was against David Diaz, which was a great, entertaining fight, which is a damn good fight. Credit to Pacquiao. But instead of fighting the other lightweight champions, he moves up to fight Oscar De La Hoya in a catchweight, 2 weight classes at welterweight. Why? Why didn't he fight neither one of those guys? Now, this is not the shit on Pacquiao's resume, but to me, if you're gonna, slam Hopkins and condemn him for the level of opposition he fought, then why aren't you calling out Pacquiao for this? To me, yes, Pacquiao had a great career. Again, I respect what he did in his career. He fought some guys that Floyd refused to fight, like Antonio Margarito, Joshua Clottey, okay, and fought Miguel Cotto. But, some people could argue that Miguel Cotto wasn't the same fighter after the Margarito fight. All right? Well, Floyd did fight Miguel Cotto eventually, but until, he felt that Miguel Cotto was shot at the time before he fought him. But, it is what it is. But, to Pacquiao's credit, he did beat guys that Floyd refused to fight. But what I'm saying is this, Thunderdome. Out of all the things that I just said here, how could you say that Manny Pacquiao had a great career than Hopkins when he himself avoided many guys when he moved up in weight, when he himself never won a unification bout, when he himself had fought many guys with losing records when he was moving up from flyweight to bantamweight. Many guys. He fought 8 men with losing records when he moved up the weight. A lot of tomato cans when he was moving up in weight. Okay? Why ain't you calling out Manny Pacquiao for that? Now, let's look at this, okay? First things first, Bernard Hopkins defeated 8 undefeated fighters in his time. Total. Manny Pacquiao, to his credit, defeated 7. That's when he was fighting in 8 different weight classes. Golovkin only defeated 1. All right? Now, Bernard Hopkins, on the other hand, and this is one thing you neglect to mention. Bernard Hopkins has went into some fights as an underdog. Okay? Here's an old man competing in the light heavyweight division when guys are bigger than him, faster than him, and whatnot, and, who are much in their prime. Okay? Like Tavoris Cloud, for example. Many people felt that Hopkins was going to lose that fight against Tavoris Cloud. What did he do? He beat him, to break his record, become the oldest world champion. Before that, he fought Kelly Pavlik. All right? Yes, Pavlik was competing in the middleweights and he was knocking everybody out. And I like Kelly Pavlik. Trust me, I do. Now, when Hopkins agreed to fight Pavlik at a catchweight 170 pounds, people counted Pavlik to beat Hopkins. People felt that Hopkins was going to get knocked out against Pavlik. What did he do? He went in there and humiliated and schooled Pavlik. And Pavlik wasn't the same fighter after him being embarrassed by Hopkins. So Hopkins, to his credit, had ruined some guys' career. Jean Pascal. Some people felt that Jean Pascal wasn't the same fighter after him losing to Hopkins. Well, I mean, we all know that Pascal was somewhat of a limited fighter, but we all know that Pascal was totally shot after Kovalev had knocked him out in the first fight. Totally shot. And I'll admit to that. I mean, so with that said, Thunderdome, out of all the accomplishments that Hopkins has done and all the adversity that he has gone through, you are still convinced you're going to tell me that Pacquiao and Golovkin both have greater careers than Hopkins. In fact, this is a man who had to go through every single mandatory that was there to fight. And hell, he even fought all his mandatories when he was the undisputed champion. And people condemned him for that when he fought Murad Hakkar. And I will admit to that. Murad Hakkar had no business being in the ring with Hopkins, okay? If you guys don't know who Murad Hakkar is, take a look at the fight take a look at the fight, okay? Take a look at the previous fights that he had before he fought Hopkins. All right? Murad Hakkar was the mandatory by the WBC. They installed him as the mandatory. And people wanted to shit on Hopkins for taking that fight. First things first, Hopkins said, look, first things first, that he's my mandatory, okay? I fought hard to win this title, so I'll be damned if I'm going to let a sanctioned body take it from me. I'm going to fight who they want me to fight, and I'm going to fight them. All right? You can't blame Hopkins for taking his fight against a mandatory like that. Now, you can say that, well, why the hell, okay, first things first, okay, fine. Floyd fought Robert Guerrero, and people, wanted to give him credit for that because, when things are first, Robert Guerrero, yeah, he was a mandatory. Okay, fine. But it is rightfully so that Floyd, I know why I mentioned Floyd in this video, but Floyd himself, he refused to fight other mandatories, but that's a different topic. I understand that's what you're going to say, but I'm not talking about Floyd here. But what I'm saying is this. You can't condemn the man for fighting all his mandatories and fighting all the best oppositions that are there to fight. I mean, hell, he fought Jermaine Taylor in his prime. He fought Kelly Pavlik in his prime. He fought Felix Trinidad in his prime. He fought Glenn Johnson in his prime and beat him. Joe Lipsy in his prime. So towards Cloud, Jean Pascal in their prime. Bibu Shumanov. Bibu Shumanov is not really a great fighter, but he fought the man at his very best. Sergey Kovalev, win, lose, or draw, fought this man when he was a dangerous light heavyweight. But now Hopkins took the fight anyway. He didn't have to take the fight, but he did because he wanted to prove himself. To me, that's the definition of a warrior and a great fighter. A man who's going to take on challenges no matter what the circumstances are. Despite of age, despite of reflexes, despite of skills being diminished, he feels that he can still beat the guy. Yes, Hopkins, that's the first time I've ever seen Hopkins get hit the way he got hit in that fight. But give the man credit when the credit is due. All right? To say that this man had a shitty career at middleweight, that's totally inexcusable, man. And I think you're totally wrong in that area. All right? Now, if you want to call out, again, I have to reiterate, if you're going to call out Hopkins for the guys that he didn't fight at middleweight, supposedly, then you should call out Manny Pacquiao for all the fights that he didn't fight when he's coming up from flyweight. And why the hell did he avoid it? Edwin Villaro, Nate Campbell, Juan Diaz, Julio Diaz, and Humberto Solo. Oh, Joe Casamayor. He could have fought those guys. Hell, I thought he should have fought Paulie Ayala at super bantamweight or Johnny Tapia, but he didn't fight none of those guys. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Again, man, I respect you having an opinion. Everyone's entitled to the opinion on the YTBC. But I just can't see how in the world can you degrade this man's legacy and what he's accomplished. I think that you went too far with that. That's just my take on it. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.